Welcome to our nightly meditation practice. And do a few things different tonight. We're going to have a metta meditation, a guided metta meditation from a famous Theravadan monk, Ajahn Sucitto, famous here in the West anyway. So we're going to follow Insight Timer on that and have a little reading I want to do from the Linji Lu, the Linji record. But as we always do, we'll begin by paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Again, thank you for joining me tonight. And as I mentioned earlier, I want to do a little reading from the Linji Lu, the Linji record. If you weren't tuned in to my last time I read from Linji Lu, Linji was a Zen master who was the founding father, so to speak, of the Linji tradition of Zen, also known as Rinzai Zen in Japan. And it's his style of Zen and Zen practice and koan practice that we practice in Five Mountain Zen. But it's an important style of Zen that's used throughout the world, and one of the strongest surviving forms of Zen that still carries on from ancient Chinese Chan practice. So I wanted to read something to you, and then maybe we'll discuss it a little bit before we do our meditation. But let's see. I will discuss it a little bit, but I want to let me read this to you, and then we'll go a little bit from there. So I'm going to start about halfway. I'm going to start about halfway down in the second column over here. Okay. It changed position on me since the last time I took a look at it. So I got a little bit lost. Wow. Did I lose my place again? Oh, I'm so sorry, folks. I immediately lost my place from where I wanted to read. Okay, here we go. Now it's back on the left-hand side. This is where I thought I was. So this is Linji talking about what he does when students come to visit him. Okay. Whenever someone comes here seeking, I immediately go out and look at him. He doesn't recognize me. Thereupon I don various kinds of robes. The student, assigning some meaning to this, straightway falls into words and phrases. What a pity that the blind Shafepate, a man without the eye to see, grasps at the robe I am wearing and declares it to be blue or yellow, red or white. When I remove the robe and enter the state of purity, the student takes one look and is immediately filled with delight and longing. Then, when I cast off everything, the student is stunned and running about in wild confusion cries, "You have no robe." If I say, "Do you know me, the man who wears these robes?" he'll abruptly turn his head around and recognize me through and through. Virtuous monks don't acknowledge robes. Robes cannot move of themselves, but people can put them on. There's the robe of purity, the robe of birthlessness, the robe of Bodhi, the robe of nirvana, the patriarch robe, and the Buddha robe. Virtuous monks, these spoken words and written phrases are all nothing but changes of robes. Churning up the sea of breath in your belly and clacking your teeth together, you devise wordy interpretations. So it's clear that these are only illusory transformations. Virtuous monks, acts of speech are displayed without. Mental activities are manifested within. Because of mental activities, thoughts arise, but these are all just robes. If all you do is acknowledge as real the robes that are merely put on, even after the passage of kalpas, numerous as dust, you'll still have nothing but an understanding of robes, and will continue going round and round in the three realms, transmigrating through birth and death. Much better to do nothing. Oh, much better do nothing. I meet him, yet do not recognize him. I speak with him, yet do not know his name. Students of today get nowhere because they base their understanding upon the acknowledgement of names. They inscribe the words of some dead old guy in a great big notebook, wrap it up in 4 or 5 squares of cloth, and won't let anyone look at it. This is the mysterious principle. They aver and safeguard it with care. That's all wrong. Blind idiots, what kind of juice are you looking for in such dried up bones? Then there are a bunch of guys who, not knowing good from bad, guess around and speculate about the scriptures and make wordy interpretations of them. They're like men who, having held dung clods in their mouth, spit them out for the other people. They're like peasants engaged in playing a passing the word game. They spend their entire lifetime in vain, yet declare, we are renouncers of home. Questioned about Buddha Dharma, they just shut their mouths, bereft of words. Their eyes are as vacant as black chimney holes, and their mouths sag like loaded carrying poles. Such men as these, even though they were to be present when Maitreya appears in this world, would be banished to another region, and there, lodged in hell, suffer its torments. Virtuous monks, what are you seeking as you go around hither and yon, walking until the soles of your feet are flat? There is no Buddha to seek, no way to complete, no Dharma to attain. If you seek outside for a Buddha having form, you won't find him to resemble you. If you know your original mind, it's neither united with nor apart from him. Followers of the way, true Buddha has no shape, true way has no substance, true Dharma has no form. These three are fused together, harmoniously united into one. Just because you can't understand this, you're called sentient beings with unlimited karmic consciousness. Yeah, I like that a lot. Lots of thoughts there. And yeah, some of these are thoughts that have weighed heavily on me. Zen teaches we have to look inward. When we look inward, we realize that true self is no self. And yet we students of the Dharma, students of Zen in particular, but not just students of Zen. That's why I say students of the Dharma. We go around looking for teachings. We go around looking for words. We go around looking for teachers that have more words. And as Linji said, they're just robes. Look past the robes and look to the person. Something I always liked about Thich Nhat Hanh was he just wore a plain brown robe. And yet was probably, he's still alive, so forgive me. And yet is probably one of the greatest living Zen masters. Ever? That's a question. He didn't adorn fancy robes. And his teachings and stories stayed consistent. He's a very old man now, living in Hue, Vietnam, at his original temple, where he went home to spend the rest of his years, however many he has left. But he spent $60 years teaching around the world. And so I think back at some of these words that Lin Ji was writing, and they stand out to me because this fact, I mean, initially there's lots of interpretations. I mean, there's lots of nuances in this concept he's talking about he'd go in and put on different colored robes and people wouldn't recognize him, and finally they would, whatever. And yet you guys see me every night in a robe. And it's a plain gray robe. Doesn't mean anything. It does traditionally. The robes were dyed black with coal, and after they would wash them, the black would turn the white cloth gray, and that was the color of the cloth. So gray was the color of Zen robes in a lot of traditions. In Japan, a lot of the Zen monks wear black robes because traditionally they were dyed black, right? And I guess they were better at dyeing them and keeping them black in Japan than in Korea or China. And so the robes stay black. But the robes that Lin Ji was talking about signified a lot of flashy things, you know, not just robes, but accoutrements, ceremonies, dharma talks, whatever was flashy and would catch someone's eye. And he tried to make it clear they're just robes, they're just words, they're just illusions. It's that ordinary mind that matters. And the robes, the words, the ceremonies won't get you there in Zen. Only learning the original mind. So there are those, you you might think, myself included, who worry about their robes. I really don't. But there are those who do. Love the fancy accoutrements. As though it makes them have an air of importance. And yet it doesn't indicate what's in their mind. Have they discovered their original mind? Have they discovered that Buddha within? Because that's what the Buddha discovered under the Bodhi tree. He discovered his own original mind. Something to think about. Anyway, I won't keep dwelling on that. I really just was reading that earlier, and it spoke volumes to me. Page and a half on a Kindle reader spoke volumes to me about what I'm looking for sometimes. And to make sure I'm not looking for things that are just illusory. I like it when he says there is no Buddha to seek, no way to complete, no Dharma to attain. If you seek outside for a Buddha having form, you won't find him to resemble you. If you know your own original mind, it's neither united with nor apart from him. And I like that. I have a beautiful Buddha right back here. And it's important to me because it's a symbol of that original mind that I am striving to comprehend and hold on to. Much like Joshu took 30 years from discovering his, it took him 30 more years of practice to maintain what he thought he had not attained. That's a bad word in Zen. But what he had discovered for himself, that's a reminder to me of the original mind and what's available to me here and now without needing my own Bodhi tree per se. So anyway, I digress way too much. Let's listen to Ajahn Sucitto and do a guided metta meditation. And that will be our meditation practice for tonight. I hope you'll enjoy this. There's some wonderful things on Insight Timer. I even put a link in there tonight. When I use these as part of my meditation practice on here, I'm not in any way trying to take anything away from where the origin of these soundtracks are coming from. They come from Insight Timer. And again, I am not sponsored by them in any way, or I don't even contribute to them. But it is a wonderful program. And if you enjoy meditation, you really should look into it. So let's do a little guided meditation with Ajahn Sucitto.
We've been practicing this metta, which is goodwill or benevolence, to some extent every evening, this reflection. And it's there because it's always a good way to look back. You have to look back, to look around, so that your perceptions are more kindly and giving than critical and holding. It's a radiant quality, it's a suffusing or a giving quality, benevolence. Now if you take this from self-view, it becomes very difficult, because like anything does, because I have to do this, or I have to be nice and kind and loving, and I don't feel like that at this moment. Then it just becomes either very contrived, or I feel even more critical. So not only can I concentrate, I can't even be nice. So it's not actually. Kindness starts off with just a bringing yourself into the moment, just to where you're at, and then an opening to that, and a tolerance, to that. So this works from anatta, from the non-self, a response to ourselves, to what we are, to our situation, to our memories, to our world, to our friends, to our enemies, to our relatives. We're not holding, not taking any of it personally. Concentrate. I'll bring your mind into the present moment on the breathing sign. Just a simple feeling of the breath in the chest and the abdomen as your body, as your chest expands, contracts. That steady rhythm. So you're breathing, and the beginning of the sensation is in the chest. So you're breathing in through the chest, breathing out through the chest. And the brightness of the in-breath and the soothing of the out-breath. You're reflecting, may I be well, may this being be well. May I be at peace with myself as I am. There's attitude and the rhythm of the sensation flowing through the body, where you can discern body, consciousness of the body, down into your legs, out into your arms, up into your head. Just keep spreading, opening the frame of reference through the whole body, what you can discern, visualize, reach your mind to through your whole body. Breathing in, breathing out through the whole body. rather like running your hand over, I say, a beautiful object, feeling out a tactile sensation like the coolness of pottery or the textures of wood. Feeling out with an appreciating quality of attention to just how it is. The fingers, the palms, the arms, the neck, the head, the face. Particularly areas where you feel any tension or dizziness or sensitivity. Be very soft. And spreading your attention there, wherever there's contraction. And work around areas like the back, where you have tightness in the shoulders or pain in the lower region, or sometimes pain running down the back. Just visualize those points and send a light warmth spreading around the sensation. Where sensations are neutral, then sharpness, brightness, clarity. So you're feeling out feelings as they are, sensations as they are, with a mind that is inclining in with kindness. The mind states the idea of what we are in the present. It's negative or optimistic, or we sometimes feel maybe we're being complacent or selfish, then looking at that notion without aversion, with tolerance and kindness, we think we haven't done well enough, or that we can't do it. Just that very idea and feeling in the mind, looking at that without trying to get rid of it, just relaxing it, being peaceful with that. Ideas of what we could or might be in the future, memories of the past, the nostalgia or the guilt or fear from the past. The most painful or poignant memories, you can contemplate them as memories with no aversion, with kindness, patience, well-wishing, forgiving, starting again. And reflections of others, of those who have helped us towards awakening. Teachers of some kind, those who have helped us awaken, given us guidance, or somehow encouraged or set an example to us, given us the teachings, and reflecting on them with a gratitude. Mother and father who gave us the physical birth, requisites for physical existence and support. No matter what else they gave us that. Even if they were not very wise or whatever, still to have given us birth and looked after us. People who maintain this society with its imperfections and flaws, but so that we live in a protected and society that has some order in it. and some possibility for this teaching to be allowed and to take place. So that we consider how we can help the society rather than feel totally negative about it. Associates in practice, people you associate with, people on this retreat, staff, the management, teachers, the people you're practicing alongside, the unknown or neutral. Develop a sensitivity to how one can incline the mind towards them with benevolence. So that we can work together. Then the associates in other walks of life, people you hear about, people you know about or half know, those who we know suffering, the sick and the dying and the hurt, those beings who are either corrupted or deluded with minds perverted. May they awaken, or may they become free from that, rather than just judging and condemning. And then let your mind go freely to where it inclines, sweeping around, spreading peace, kindness, tolerance, non-aversion. So we come to the conclusion of my time of teaching here, teaching this retreat. I hope it's not the end of your practice. From the simple focal points of impermanence, non-self, unsatisfactoriness, you find a way of balancing with the wonderful, the mysterious, the ungraspable of our experience. You're not trying to make it other than it is, but find a way of balancing with that so that you can appreciate and live in harmony. Then these qualities such as that we incline towards, we would like to have as qualities, kindness, compassion, gladness for the welfare of others, and serenity, are quite natural results. These are the natural ways for a human being to relate to the experience of living. When we don't experience that, we can recognize that something is stuck. So then you know you have to work with it, use the means to work with it. You have the Buddha, the awakening, Dhamma, the truth, and Sangha, the good practice. Take refuge in these. This is to be remembered, to be recollected, called the practice of recollection. We always have to keep beginning again, starting from where we're at now. So that why we use symbolic forms such as used on this retreat every day, bowing to the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, chanting, is an indication, not that we forget intellectually, but we do the inclination of our minds, or the way that it moves, is in time. It's never beginning again, it's always progressing forward in time. So then we lose the immediacy of what these things mean. And yet these are timeless qualities. Now also to use the symbols for recollection, to take refuge. This is a way of determining and clarifying one's intentions. Then you find the compassion of the Buddha and the benevolence of the way things are, the joy which is the community life, the gladness for the welfare of others, and the equanimity of knowing it, of understanding, kind of calm, deep calm. In good practice is always that where there is sila, good conduct, and cultivation, mind cultivation, therefore concentrating for insight, for looking into. And however you find these, then always live your life in this way, and you'll work it out. The difficulties will be less difficult. There'll always be difficulties, but they will be less, and you'll see through them and be invigorated by them. And then you just keep going. So when we conclude the retreat here, conclude this teaching form, spend some time helping, cleaning up, etc. There'll be the occasion for those who'd like to formally take the refuges and precepts. For people who'd like to do that, I'll be here at 11. But in conclusion, I'd like to say there isn't any conclusion. Just keep going, don't look back.
He left so many pauses, I wasn't even sure he was done. But it was interesting. Not quite what I expected. I expected something a little bit more like metta practice that I used to do in a Sri Lankan temple. But it's always good to focus on things to be grateful for, of compassion towards others. That's something I wanted to do tonight in our practice. So I appreciate you joining me in that. And as we do each night, we will close with the reading of the 4 great vows. So if you join me in that. The 4 great vows. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to save them all. Delusions are endless. We vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite. We vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable. We vow to attain it. Again, thank you guys very much for meditating with me tonight. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Have a good evening. Good night.